So it is about 2 days after the West Virginia versus BPJ decision. I have still been sitting on this decision. I made a video earlier, but it's still swirling in my mind, and I am going to land at these two particular points. First, I think it's very obvious that the goal is for the Supreme Court to definitively to get a perfect case where they will definitively say that transgender people are not a protected class and or transgender people don't have a fundamental right to express themselves as transgender. Therefore, any laws that target trans people or any laws that disproportionately impact trans people will instantly trigger rational basis review. And almost anytime in rational basis review, whatever reason that the government articulates for creating the law will result in the government prevailing in the in whatever the lawsuit is. Uh, that step we've seen this step. It started in the Skermeti decision last year. This decision in West Virginia is just like another brick in the wall. The court didn't outright say it in this case. I think this strategy, but I think the ultimate goal is to have more cases and get to a point where the court feels even more comfortable in its composition. We've heard the pre-news that Justice Alito may be retiring this summer, so this gives the Trump administration another opportunity to put a very young conservative MAGA Supreme Court justice on the bench once Alito retires. But I think the ultimate goal is for them to, and it probably won't happen in the next case. It's no secret that there will likely be another trans issue related case in the future. I know I was watching the news today. I know there's some lawsuits where Alliance Defend Freedom or any one of those like organizations are looking at suing states that have positive legislation for trans people that promote the inclusion of trans people. So I know there's some district court litigation happening in California. So I don't know if that's going to hit the Supreme Court quite yet, but it could. But we know that this is part of the strategy for them to get that perfect case where they can strike it down. We're sitting in the aftermath of the Dobbs decision, which the goal for MAGA, the Heritage Foundation, is to have a situation where any of these types of rights are left to the states. And if you're left to the states, it's likely that you'll have a vast majority of states that outlaw a particular right or activity than states where you can engage in it. Therefore, eliminating the protections at the federal level. But I think the ultimate goal is for the Supreme Court to definitively say that, and they probably won't use the word transgender. We saw the language articulated in this case, biological men or men who think that they're women. But I think this is an ultimate goal, and this West Virginia opinion serves that next step for them to reach that ultimate goal. The second thing I want to say, for all of the people that think that this opinion is conclusive, particularly of the reasons that the states of West Virginia and the state of Idaho articulated for their reason to protect women and cis women and girls from men in wigs that want to be in sports. If they think that this is a conclusive that or that this proves their point that, oh, trans people are unsafe or trans people do have an advantage. We don't know that. We don't know that because the Supreme Court, instead of kicking this back down and letting discovery happen, letting the experts come in and talk about this, like that, like what would have happened during discovery, during depositions, during interrogatories, if this would have went to trial, bringing the experts on the stand and letting them really speak to the science, which I think the science would have proven What I know is that trans women and girls athletes don't have an advantage over cisgender women and girl athletes. And I think I think they knew that the science would have conclusively proved that. Um, but now we'll never know because we never really got to see this case play out on the merits. Like, let's remember these cases came from TRO's temporary restraining orders, which blocked the enforcement of the law. And we never really got to see the trial part of the thing played out because how we got to the Supreme Court is that the attorney generals for Idaho and West Virginia appealed the TROs to their respect the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, respectively, and then whatever result that got appealed to the Supreme Court, and those cases were combined together. But people, the right or the people that feel like trans women and girls shouldn't be in sports, like y'all shouldn't be celebrating and jumping for joy. Nothing was proven. All of this decision is because of where we are, where the Supreme Court is ideologically. But we never really got to get to the nitty gritty or get down to the facts or actually let the scientists and the experts really talk about the things. And I think again that was part of the strategy because MAGA and the right, they did not want that to play out. They did not want that to happen. And we all should be concerned because when we think about how our rights are being stripped away, we all need our day in court. We all need to let the evidence and everything speak for itself. And we also have to realize that it's a strategy to make it hard for the everyday person, for the marginalized person to get to the actual trial. Because a lot of people know that if all of the evidence and everything came out, a lot of people would end up losing their cases because I know that the science doesn't back up what MAGA and all of those people are trying to say, particularly about trans women and girls who participate in sports. But those are the two things that I'm still thinking on. I'm probably going to be thinking about this case through the holiday weekend, but we should all be concerned, particularly with that first point, because if trans people can be, it can be explicitly stated that we are not a protected class. Like nothing is set in stone in this current state. In this current time, everything is up for review. Everything is up for redefinition. So that means we could see a day real soon where gender or sex is not a protected class, and even race is not a protected class. As we are seeing how MAGA is trying to push us to a place where um, we just need to accept laws as race neutral and that those race neutral laws don't have any disparate impact, even though we know that they do. So that's what I have to say for now. If I have more, I'll come back on here and I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you for engaging with me on this, but this was really burning me up over the last couple of days.